Moving on to the knees. All right. This is actually a really, really cool study. Actually, this should be 134. It's my fault. It should be with that. Basically, what they did, this Scandinavian study, looked at 268 total patellar tendons, so 134 junior basketball players. I believe it was this week, but they found that only 19 tendons, so basically 19 people had bum knees out of this entire sample size of 134 elite junior basketball players. Now here's the interesting thing. That's only the symptoms. When they actually looked at these people under more serious diagnostic imaging, they found that 26% of all those tendons could be diagnosed with what they call tendinopathy. So some kind of degenerative changes, and they're just waiting to reach threshold, right? So for every one they diagnosed, more than 3 were overlooked. So symptoms aren't really the only thing that we need to look at. And for those of you who deal with that older population, we know that degenerative changes are magnified as one of the agents, right? That tissue can take less loading relative to its tolerance for loading, right? So you're going to see this a lot more in older people. Look at that, cutting edge stuff, March 2010. Stuff just a couple days ago. I don't think it's going to be released in actual print format, but they looked at the prevalence of articular cartilage defects in athletes in 11 different studies, dating all the way back, I think, to like 2001. 40% of the 900 grade 1 athletes surveyed were professional athletes. 36% of them had full thickness focal condyle defects, but 14% of those 36 were asymptomatic. So these big condyle defects in their knees. So over 1/2 of asymptomatic athletes have a full thickness defect in their knee. Okay, so we get a lot of screwed up knees, screwed up low backs, screwed up shoulders, screwed up spines, you name it. It's just scary a bit more. Somewhere between 2 and 8% of the time in American hospitals, a patient having a genuine heart attack gets sent home because the doctor doing the examination thinks for some reason that the patient is healthy. We're probably going to get really bad now that we got healthcare like you guys now, right? It's not going to get worse. Show of hands, how many people here actually like Canadian healthcare? I don't know. I'm really curious. It's good, huh?
Yeah, it's good.
Really? Everyone's been like in the U.S. for the last week, been flashing like the data on cancer survival rates, the U.S. versus Canada, and how we're like twice as good after 5 years. Is there like long, like if a client has to have a health different, you guys have to wait quite a while?
Yeah.
And they get it. Or is it?
Unless you want to pay for it. It seems or get to connect.
Yeah, I got you. So I think that's.
You don't have to mortgage your house, though.
What's that?
You don't have to mortgage your house, though.
I got you.
You don't have
we can't pay the mortgage in the U.S. anymore. Pretty bad. That's our
shelter.
We have found that people who wait a long time sometimes the symptoms clear up.
It's actually a beautiful thing sometimes. I guess it could be an actual benefit. So I guess all this leads to the questions. Am I going to die? Absolutely. Sorry, I can't help you with that. Almost nobody's normal. How do we even know what normal really is in the first place? What is fit? Is fit? Is fit muscular? Picture a Scott from his morning workout. Means, hear one more teenage kid that says he wants to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. Oh my God. The absence of disease or pathology. How about functionally fit to perform? 2 Cressey Performance clients. D.D. Griesbauer, top 10 in the world in Kona the last 3 years. One of the best Ironman competitors in the world. Trains 17 times a week. She's not real strong in the weight room though. She does 5 run, 5 swim, 5 bike before she even gets to her 2 lifting sessions. So she's not going to blow people away with her strength. She doesn't have this crazy rotational power. Kevin Euclid, another Cressey Performance client. Top 5 in the American League in MVP voting several times already. But you know what? He's not going to be winning any beauty contests. So it's one of those things where he's not going to be on a bodybuilding stage, but he's very, very effective at what he does. So I think what we realize is that being fit is really relative to the client and their perceived goals and objectives. You have to appreciate what that might mean in the context of all these different pathologies, quote unquote, that we've seen on these MRIs and X-rays. So really, pathology is any deviation from a healthy, normal, or efficient condition. Dictionary.com. So in other words, inefficiency and pathology might actually be the exact same thing. We actually want to do this work. My primary goal for today is to show you that usually if you correct an underlying inefficiency, you'll deal with that pathology as a doctor or whatever healthcare professional sees it. Okay? And I realize you guys are not physical therapists. Okay? I'm not a PT either, I don't claim to be. But I do claim to be able to do is make people move better. And I think that in and of itself makes a big difference. So effective screening and understanding the population-specific norms is the key. You guys will see this in the context of what we do with our baseball guys. It makes a big difference because we are so stuck in that one sample size, understanding that population, and we can do a lot more than, to be honest, the overwhelming majority of physical therapists in our area because they don't see the sheer volume of overhead athletes that we do. Okay? So the site of the pain is really the source of the problem. You'll see that a lot in the context of what we discussed today. great example that they talked about, dates back to some of the talks I had about patellar tendons earlier on. How many of you guys have been diagnosed with tendonitis? Everybody's gotten that diagnosis, right? What do we know about the itis ending? It indicates inflammation. Okay? In reality, these issues aren't really that easy to deal with, are they? They're very chronic conditions. They're a pain in the butt. It's just an inflammatory issue. Couldn't we just get a cortisone shot or knock back some Advil and be good to go? In reality, it takes a lot more to get things right. And the reason is because we're dealing more of a tendonosis. That osis ending is indicative of a degenerative problem. So the tissue loading exceeds that tissue's tolerance for loading. Okay? So every time we've been diagnosed with tendonitis, we've probably been misdiagnosed. They'd be better off saying tendinosis, tendinopathy. And it sounds like wordplay once again, but it's actually a really, really important differentiation to make because that tendonitis label really kind of underestimates that the proven chronicity of the specific condition. So this is a great review from 1998. So this is 12 years old now. Okay, this has been out. This is just a review too. Meaning the study that gave rise to this, we're out for years before it was ever published. So if you guys are looking for a good read, reference this great review. Again, it's pretty old, but it's going to talk about how a combination of pain, swelling, and impaired performance should be labeled.